Right, let's focus on Eskom now, and the parastatal is warning that the power grid is under pressure after a few of its generating units failed. The utility is estimating a shortage of some 1,500 megawatts from the grid. This comes after news broke of Eskom's 4 billion rand overpayments to contractors for the Gusile power station construction project. I'm joined now by Eskom spokesperson Sikonati Manjanja for details on these stories. Sikonati, let's start with the latest news coming in, because, you know, when we hear grid-constrained megawatts, generating units, as South Africans, we've learned to worry that we could be looking at load shedding. What is the status in as far as the grid is concerned at the moment, and what are the implications for whether or not we continue to have our lights on?
Chirasizo, thank you for that question. At this point in time, the system is quite constrained. We have lost another 2 generation units this morning. Yes, we have recovered one of the 2 that tripped last night. At the moment, as you said, we just shot about 1,500, or we've just lost about 1,500 megawatts of capacity. At this point, we are able to supply without any load shedding, and we hope to do so throughout the evening. The most critical times, Chulasizo, are between 5 in the evening and 9 p.m. And we urge the people of South Africa to help reduce usage in order to avoid any complications.
And at this point, you don't expect that you will have to resort to load shedding, not only today, but going into the coming days and into the weekend?
The next few days will be quite tricky in the sense that there is a cold front heating, and therefore we have had to run the machines quite hard. And as we have always stated, Chulasizo, we only expect to implement 3 days of load shedding during this winter. But if this continues at this rate, if we lose any more significant generation units, we may have to resort to implementing load shedding sooner than we thought we would. We are warning the people that we will remain severely constrained until possibly after this weekend. So we urge the people again to help us reduce demand.
A question will arise, Sikonati, that with the lockdown and reduced economic activity and hence reduced demand for electricity and energy across the economy and the country, you had an opportunity to undertake sort of what was called a few years ago a festival of maintenance at Eskom. I imagine that you did that, so why are we having these generating units failing so soon after restarting some sectors of the economy, not even all the sectors of the economy?
Fair question, Chulasizo. Indeed, I can tell you now the situation would have been worse had we not conducted that maintenance during the lockdown. We are at 32,000 megawatts of capacity at this point. Before we went to lockdown, we were at 29,000 megawatts. So we have gained some capacity back, having fixed some machines. But we will repeat this again, that Eskom's machines are unreliable and they are quite old. So this will keep happening from time to time. We are doing everything we can. And the lockdown has helped us indeed avoid load shedding. Right. Before we went into lockdown, we were telling the people of South Africa that we would have about 31 days of load shedding. We are now talking about 3 days.
All right, Sikonati, let me shift focus then and talk about the other big issue that we asked to speak to you about, and it has to do with what has been called overpayment of a number of contractors, and we should name them because you do name them in your report, in your progress report. They include ABB South Africa, Tenova Mining and Minerals South Africa, Tubular Construction Projects, Stefanutis Stocks, Basil Reed. That has a familiar ring to it, of course, if you track back to issues around construction and the 2010 World Cup. Some 4 billion rand, Sikonati, in overpayments, or is that a euphemism to say overpayments?
Let's correct that one first, Chulasizo. These contracts, in the view of Eskom, were criminally inflated. The amounts for the work that was done was criminally inflated, and that's what we meant we overpaid. It is a term that was used loosely, and indeed the members of parliament seem to think that someone made a mistake and paid 4 billion rand too much. No, It is a contract that was negotiated. These are contracts that were negotiated by Eskom management about 4 or 5 years ago. And the current team believes they were criminally inflated in order to enrich certain people. Eskom has laid charges against these people, and some of them were arrested in December on one of the charges. They are going through a criminal process. It's not money that was incorrectly paid out. These were contracts that were negotiated by Eskom's executives, and Eskom believes right now those were inflated deliberately in order to enrich some people. You have mentioned the companies, and Eskom has commenced negotiations with these companies in order to claim back the monies that it believes were inflated.
And this is just Kusile Sikonati, and Kusile was not the only major build project that you've been busy with as Eskom over the last few years. We had Medupi, we had Ingula. Do you believe this happened in the other projects as well?
I have been for the past 15 years in my capacity as a journalist telling the people of South Africa exactly what was going on with this corruption. Now, at Eskom as a spokesperson, I am saying to you, the people of South Africa have paid far too much, and Eskom has laid dozens of criminal charges over the past 3 years with the police regarding corruption at Medupi, at Kusile, and at Ingula. Indeed, there should be prosecutions that we wait for, and that it is true indeed that corruption was not only limited to the Kusile power station. Corruption has been people have been quite busy, and we are at this point. The current management team is doing what it can to reverse the gains of corruption.
I'm running out of time, Sikonati, but I want to squeeze in this issue around Optimum Coal Mine. It was a key supplier of coal for you as Eskom, but it was under the Tegeta group and linked to the Guptas, and we know about the processes that have taken place there, leading to a business rescue process that is underway. At what stage is that now? Because I see that you were claiming that Optimum Coal / Tegeta, etc., those involved owed you some 5 billion rand. I see that has been revised down significantly to some 1.2 billion rand. What happened there?
Yes, the amount that Eskom initially claimed in that business rescue process has been reduced from 5 billion rand to the 1.3 billion rand that Eskom did actually pay out for coal that it should never have bought from Tegeta. And I must also add again that Tegeta matter forms part of the many criminal cases that Eskom has lodged with the police. Right now, the business rescue practitioner has found a buyer. It's just waiting for the processes to be concluded and for the buyer to actually pay over the money, and the business rescue practitioner will make the appropriate announcements there.
All right, that's a big one, is it not? I think this is the first time that it's been mentioned. I know that there was a point where there were negotiations with a potential buyer, but you are saying now that the business rescue practitioner of Optimum Coal has found a buyer, and that's a major development.
The business rescue practitioner has found a buyer, and when that transaction is concluded, that means everything, the money, the transaction has been settled. The business rescue practitioner will make the appropriate announcements. Right. At this point, we will leave up to the business rescue practitioner to update the public.
All right. Sikonati Manjanja, thank you so much. He speaks on behalf of Eskom, and you heard it here first. The business rescue practitioner there at the Optimum Coal has found a buyer, which was part of the process that they were undertaking, but also hearing the Sikonati talking about the plethora of charges that they've been laying. It's time that we see some action on some of these charges.